What's up, everybody? Welcome to Inside the Game, your one source for everything cool in video games. Now, you can always be a part of the show by going to insidethegame.ca and submitting your cool clip to end off our show. Don't forget to head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe for more content. And if you want to join us up on Discord, we're always there for a good time to talk as well. Now, coming up on this week's episode, we have all kinds of games. Nate and I are getting liberated. I'm putting on Iron Man suit with Iron Man VR. And Corey and I are kicking it old school with some RPG. All that in this week's episode, but here is the inside scoop. Is there a Harry Potter game in the works? Well, according to rumors, Avalanche Software is working on the next Harry Potter title coming to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X late in 2021. Little is known about the game, but you'll be playing the role of a wizard, no shocker there, and you'll be going around Hogwarts and surrounding areas. J.K. Rowling has very little to do with the involvement of the actual game, and Warner Brothers was going to announce it this year at E3, but with COVID, they kind of had a change in plans. There's also rumors of a new Batman game in the works, but apparently we could be getting an announcement on August 22nd with the DC fandom. So fingers crossed, and maybe we can see what is up with the next Batman game.
Alright guys, the Call of Duty Season 4 mid-season update is here. Yeah, that's right, the mid-season update, and we're getting a ton of new content. So to kind of start off on the multiplayer side, so if you own the full title, on the multiplayer side, which is going to be an extra 3 gig download on top of the 30 gig download for the update. So just make sure if you do own the full title, you jump over to the multiplayer side, download that too so you can access some of the new features there. Because we're getting a new map, Cheshire Park. And it looks like a pretty cool 3-lane kind of battle one because we're getting some new game modes in multiplayer as well. So again, make sure you download that extra 3 gig download so you can get in there and access all those cool features. But we're getting some new Warzone stuff as well. And let me tell you, new limited time game mode, 200 players. Yeah, 200 player battle royale. We already had 150. It was more than everybody else. Now we're getting 50 more players. They seem to think we got room for it. Well, guess what? It's going to be absolutely insane. That's going to be available when you're playing quads. So it's going to be fun to jump in there with your buddies and really get to see what it's going to be like to add that 50 more people. I think it's going to be absolute insanity. But you know what? There's a few other things we're going to be getting as well on the Warzone side. We're getting a new sniper rifle as well, which I think is going to be really, really cool. And we're also getting a Warzone starter pack. Yes, I know, cringe, it's a microtransaction, but it's only $6 and you do get 500 in-game credits. There's a gun skin and a couple cool other things you get as well. So you know what? There's so much stuff coming in this update, so make sure you got that room because it's going to be 33 gigs overall, so get to downloading.
We are another month into summer, and with it brings Game Pass changes. We're losing a couple titles this month as Metal Gear The Phantom Pain, Dead Rising 4, and Chroma Trigger are all set to leave the service. However, Soul Calibur 6 is joining the ranks, my favorite fighting game, so hop on in and I'll see you there.
Valorant's been out for a few weeks now, and you know what? Riot's not wasting any time looking towards the future. In a recent video update, executive producer Anna Donlan let fans know what's in store for the new shooter. Let's check it out. The biggest news was about Riot's long-term plans for releasing new agents and maps. According to Donlan, the current plan is to release a new agent with each act. Valorant's acts are a bit like seasons in other games, and will last around 2 months each. This means that there should be around 6 new agents added to Valorant every year. And at the end of the video, as one final Easter egg, Riot even included a teaser of the new agent that will be coming in Act 2. For now, all we got was a silhouette, but if Riot stays on schedule with the way they've been doing things, we're probably going to hear a little more about this character coming up real soon.
And the rumors just keep going. Yep. So we've all heard about Xbox Series X and the plans for the future of Xbox, but we've heard very little about Xbox Lockhart. this is supposed to be a cheaper model. We've heard rumors of this a long time ago, but then have gone quiet. Apparently, we were supposed to hear more about Lockhart at the E3 event, but of course, with COVID, everything got changed, and now we're waiting to find out more. But that more might be coming soon. July, we're supposed to get the next Xbox 2020, and hopefully we'll get an update of this Lockhart version of the Xbox. Xbox Series X will be one, and then you're going to get Xbox Lockhart. It's apparently going to have no disk drive and be lower powered, so you could be at a cheaper price, kind of like the PlayStation 5, and then the PlayStation 5 without the disc. Going to be cheaper. Kind of makes sense. They're going to need something to compete with that other PlayStation, and this might just be the opportunity Microsoft has been waiting for.
A few weeks back, Drew and I took a look at Crucible, a AAA game released by Amazon's Game Studios, the very first release of its kind. Unfortunately, even though it came out in May to a largely captive audience, there was not the numbers behind it that they would have liked to see, and they've made the decision starting July 1st, they're going to roll it back into a closed beta. They want to listen to the feedback from the players that did enjoy it, and if you have that game, you are still able to access it 24/7. Now, if you don't get it before July 1st, you have to go through the website and download it that way, but it is still accessible. They are still wanting to gauge player reaction and tweak the game to eventually release again. This is a weird move for a game that we thought showed some promise, if nothing else. There was definitely some issues holding the game back, but it was overall pretty fun to jump into and could have been my MOBA game. Now, it did have some issues working against itself. The lack of TeamSpeak and the inability to communicate in any way to your teammates was a huge hindrance in this massively team-oriented game. There was also the issue of a couple different game modes that split up the player groups, and no one was really sure where the actual focus lied. So if you feel at all invested in the future of this game, jump on into Crucible, check it out, and give your feedback when the devs request it. It can be a lot of fun, and hopefully we see this game roll back into a full release with the population it deserves.
We're kicking it old school with some CNC.
Oh yeah!
Scott, you and I were pretty pumped up this week as we jumped into Command and Conquer Remastered Collection. This is an old school game, man. Like, this is like bringing me way back to my old PC days playing Command and Conquer Red Alert, Command and Conquer. Like, it was, dude, it was a nice trip down memory lane, I gotta be honest. What do you think of Command and Conquer, the Remastered Edition?
Oh, absolutely. This one hit me right in the nostalgia. Shout out to my brother for getting me into RTS games, and this one particularly. This was the first. And Command and Conquer Red Alert particular, the wackiness of the cutscenes, all of the acting and live-to-action recordings they did, and the beautiful cinematics of the time. Wow, what a kick.
Well, it was definitely a time period piece back then. And then to get the Remastered Edition, I wanted to see, honestly, I wanted to see more out of the remaster. Basically what happens is you're able to kick it into 4K graphics by the flick of your space bar, and that is for in-game only. So you can jump back and forth on the fly between the two, kicking it old school, and then the ability to jump it up and get into high res. But even then, I didn't really see the amount of detail that I was hoping for coming from a remastered version of the game. The cinematics are still that old school feel. They still kind of have that, they have that graininess, right? So there's two sides of it. There's kind of the, yeah, I can appreciate that they brought the game back to us to let a new audience kind of take in what we were playing with way back in the day. But at the same time, for remastered, I want this thing, like we just had Crash remastered. Dude, Crash Bandicoot got a remastered from the ground up. This isn't from the ground up.
They did do something to the cinematics. I noticed they're vectorized, or something seems just a little bit better than my memory serves. But then when it comes to the combat, the characters look kind of like I remember back in the day. So it doesn't seem like a jump up. I don't know if I just had bad vision back then, or it just hitting the spacebar revealing the HD graphics doesn't really seem a huge step up. It is, of course, much better to look at. It doesn't look quite like that Windows 98 that was running it originally or something, but it was not quite as spectacular as the audio. Huge mention to the audio in this game. It gets you right into the action, and it gets you pumped up.
Man, that rock music, when that kicked back in, I was like, oh crap, I forgot about that. Wow, is it ever good to hear it again? Like, it was so nice. But yeah, the biggest feel for me was getting back into the gameplay, and I'm like, oh yeah, all these memories come flooding back, and the hours upon hours I spent playing the Command and Conquer series. It was so cool in the storyline. And you know, just to touch on the story briefly, is like, you can tell it is from that time period and the way everything was done and created, right? So to play that again was really cool, but at the same time, I just wanted a bit more, Scott. I really did. I wanted more detail in the graphics. I wanted, okay, you jumped up to 4K, but I really feel like they just kind of smoothed out the textures. They didn't enhance any of the textures. They didn't bring in more detail. When we're playing a lot of these games now, to the point where we're at in today's technology, it is so detailed and so much more texture within the map.
It doesn't have any sort of enhancement to the AI system, so a lot of those same issues that you remember back in the day are a lot more prevalent now as you're trying to execute quick maneuvers. And the game seems to be somewhat more difficult than I remember somehow. Playing through the campaigns, the AI is punishing, and this game is a lot seemingly about resource scarcity than I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'd have to agree with that as well. I remember when I was playing as a kid, I'm going to say it was, grabbing resources came pretty often and relatively easy, where now I'm like, man, where are all the resources going? So it's just something I think differently now moving forward. Like, how much of that nostalgia stays with you, right? You remember all the good parts, the highs. You don't really necessarily remember a lot of the lows when you move on to years and years, like decades later. So to jump back in, dude, I had a great time though. It was so much fun to be back into this game.
Yeah, it absolutely was a nice blast from the past. I really hope a lot of people take advantage of this repackaging and jump into this game and experience a multiplayer boom, hopefully. And if there's enough interest in this game, I hope that they go through with it and remaster ones later on in the franchise and maybe give it more polish and more of a actual deep rework, since they're working with something that's less of a timepiece.
Scott, I'm kind of going out on a whim, and I'm just more being, I think, hopeful than anything else. Jumping back into the Command and Conquer franchise was a great trip down memory lane, and I loved my time here, but now moving forward with today's technology and all that good stuff, I want to see a new version of Command and Conquer. I want to see a new Red Alert. There's more I want to see now that we've kind of had this trip down memory lane, to see what they can do to push it, to bring it forward. We had a mobile game. It really wasn't our usual Command and Conquer gameplay style. So to see something new is something I'm hoping for now that they've, I think, tested the waters to see how much the remastered kind of hits home with people.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that it inspired some consumer hunger, and we demand that they release a Red Alert 4 or 5, whichever one they're on now, because the series has gotten wacky, and I hope that they continue their development of the game and come out with something modern. It's been a long time since the last one that I played on 360, and it could definitely take some advantages from the new hardware.
Well, that was a trip down memory lane. Scott, what are you going to score Command and Conquer Remastered Collection?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to jump back into an old memory and relive a lot of these cheesy cutscenes that I was really a fan of when I was younger.
For sure.
This game did a lot to introduce me to the RTS genre itself, and it's hard to put away those nostalgia goggles when I'm looking at this one, to be honest. The audio department just absolutely blows me away, and the gameplay is still just as fun. I have to give this one an 8.5.
Wow, that is pretty high, Scott. I'll give you that one. I didn't think you'd go that high, I'm going to be honest. I had a good time being in the game again, bringing back an old classic, basically where I started for the RTS kind of series of games that I would move forward with, but I want to see something now being brought over to create something new to keep us old school fans becoming a new school fan, right? I'd like to see that. And my time with the game was great, but I found it to be a little under remastered, and that's why I'm there with a 7.5.
You heard the man. What are you waiting for?
The Remastered collection is an awesome relic from the past. HD upgrade is nice, but we hope future remasters do a deeper overhaul of game mechanics.
Alright, so this week I have the mole mention, and I'm talking about Elder Scrolls Blades. Now the Elder Scrolls Blades, it's available on Android and iOS, and also the Switch. Now I can't speak for the Android or the Switch, but I played on the iPhone, and my experience was really good. This game, it brings so many cool elements, like the campaign to start. The campaign is actually pretty involved, and it starts you off in a town where you're just kind of set to rebuild it and find out why it got destroyed. And it really kind of gets pretty deep, and not only is there just a campaign, there's a PvP mode and a sort of endless tower mode. The PvP actually gives you great rewards and is a ton of fun, and the endless mode, it gives you also great rewards. And in addition to all these features and game modes, they actually bring a really cool RPG system. Nothing too crazy where the PvP can be too broken, but enough where you feel like you're really building your orc or your Argonian or whatever class and race you pick.
All right, Corey, you ready to bring the hammer?
Yet we dare to believe that we can find a new life, a better life under the sun and clouds. As our champion, you will lead the way, and we will never waver in our quest. We will discover new allies, face down the dangers, and our town will prosper. We are the dwarves of Clan HammerHelm.
Corey, you and I jumped into a pretty unique title over on the PC. We're talking about HammerHelm, and it is made by one person. Dude, I'm kind of impressed, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just as impressed as you are, man. One guy, it's like, holy cow.
But it's funny because you know what, we commend this person for doing the work that he's done, and for what he has created is really cool. You're playing as a dwarf, and as you go out and explore the world, you're able to gather material and build a town. It's just essentially a city builder, right? In a third-person perspective kind of thing. And you're out there having, I'm having a good time, but at the same time, Corey, I get the feel that it is unfortunately just made by one person. And, hopes and dreams of getting this thing to be bigger and better as it is, I think just requires a little bit of extra help for the attention to detail. But he's onto something here that I think is really cool.
Yeah, like you said, it's this city builder 3D style city builder because we're in a third person camera, which is not a normal way to play a city builder at all. And you know, it's usually a top down kind of deal, and this is a lot more involved. We kind of got these RPG elements involved with a city builder, and which kind of makes this kind of unique. It's not a game a style of game I've ever played before, at least not something like this. And because it's made by one person, there's a lot of aspects in this game when it comes to like, you know, this is a lot to take on as a solo project.
Oh my goodness.
So you do notice that there are things that this is a very simplified looking game. You know, graphically it's not outstanding by any means, but it's more than passable for the, you know, the adventure you're on when you're playing this game. And, you know, there's some combat elements when it comes to, you know, when you're upgrading some of the RPG stuff or you're farming things, for your town. So there's a lot of things there where it's just it's simple, but it's missing something. It feels kind of hollow. Like when we first loaded up the game, it's already telling me that there's updates to come. There's already updates that have happened to this game. So it's not like, you know, they've just made this game and he's left it there and now it's just going to be what it is. He's trying to improve it as he goes, and it's going to be a process, right? It's not going to be something that's going to happen quickly. So if you're hoping that this game's going to necessarily, you know, maybe do a quick 180 on you and things are going to be, you know, way better in a couple of months, I think it's going to be a little bit longer than that.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I think it's a good start to be in early access and get the feedback from the players and such. But you definitely feel the hindrance of just having the lack of the team to back him up with this. But it's a passion project, right? It's a project I love. But when you get into the town, you can see that the wall is just one flat wall with artwork on it, right? With the texture on it. It's not 3D. It's not bumped. Like the brickwork isn't, you know, as brick would kind of look per se. It's kind of got more of a cartoon style to it, but at the same time, it's just a flat wall, flat edges. Everything's really rigid kind of thing. And the characters are there and they build your town and you're able to kind of get missions from them. But at the same time, when you do get your mission, it is, okay, here's your mission. Now go to that, do that, get that achievement, get whatever, and then come back and bring it back to them. And it's just so direct, right? It doesn't leave any mystery to exploring the world. And I found myself just kind of being a little, almost kind of somewhat bored in a sense of, okay, now I just have to go collect this for this person and then bring it back to them, and then we'll work on building my town. For the most part, I honestly just wanted to go out, gather resources, and start building my town. But I couldn't do that because I was sent on too many side quests in order to actually get to build my town. Like, I've got a blacksmith, and I've got a farm going, and I got houses, and, you know, things are starting to roll together, and I'm like, this is pretty cool. But at the same time, and just like, man, I just want to go out and have that survival aspect to the game where I can go out and grind out my stuff and work on building my next whatever I want to bring into my town. And I was just kind of forced more into quests and going into dungeons that really felt somewhat empty, and you just go and fight off a couple orcs and then you're back in your town talking to whoever else needed some other item that you're after.
Yeah, you know what? It's kind of going on with what you said right at the end there. You know, you do end up going out and battling certain monsters in different cave-style areas, and that, you know, that's a cool little aspect. I thought that, you know, having combat in a city builder is not something you normally have. So no. I was, you know, it was kind of neat to be able to have that, you know, be a side quest or be kind of one of the ways you do mine for resources in this game when your, you know, townsfolk are doing most of the work for you. You get, the cool part is I like that you can assign them to just do, you know, you can, this person gets rock, cool. This person gets trees, and then you can assign, you know, the people to their particular jobs, whether it be, you know, they're going to be the blacksmith, they're going to be the person, you know, tilling the farm. So it's and everybody's got their own unique set of skills. So there's a lot of like finer details in this game that I think when I first, you know, started playing through this, it's kind of what stood out to me the most, where I was like, you know, this is a lot of detail in a game, you know, maybe visually it's not as detailed as we'd like to see, but there's a lot of small things in the menus when you're setting up your town and you're doing things that, you know, there's a lot of aspects to take care of. And I wasn't necessarily expecting that for, you know, being a solo kind of venture on this game. But I want to get back to the fighting, because the combat in this game, the movement in this game is very, very blocky. And like I've said a million times, I'm not great with mouse and keyboard, but this game is just, I don't know, like, would it be better with a controller? I'm not sure. Like, it's just, I feel right now it's really blocky, and you know, there's kind of these roll dodge techniques that your person has to get away, because the combat isn't necessarily easy, because sometimes it's like really kind of janky when it comes to, you know, making connections when you're fighting and things like that. So for me, it was a little, that's where it really started to wear thin on me. Like, I enjoyed some of the finer details when it came to the city building and, you know, managing the people and the resources. But when you get into the combat and the RPG style stuff, I'm just like, I don't know if this game necessarily needed this.
If it does go forward with it, it just needs to be fine-tuned and tweaked, I think, to be honest. I think the combat could be something that would be a standout portion of the game, but like you say, it is just kind of awkward, to be honest, right? It's like a couple simple swipes, nothing too fancy. What I did appreciate, though, is going to my blacksmith there, where I'm able to upgrade and, you know, customize my armor, so my character actually looks a little bit different, and there's some kind of a goal, objective there, to get better gear and to upgrade from a sword to an axe or whatever I may want to kind of go into battle. But it's really it's the battle that struggles when you're there. Corey, I think you and I are going to put the hammer down. What are you going to do? Are you going to recommend or not recommend HammerHelm?
This one's tough, Drew. I think we talked about it, and you know what? I'm going to go with not recommend, and the only reason I'm going to say that right now is I think, you know, they put a tremendous amount of work into this game, and for being one person, it's amazing how much one person can accomplish, and, you know, with all the different elements that this game has. But as it stands in the state it's in, I just think there's so many more games out there to play. It's definitely worth, you know, maybe taking a quick look at, but I don't think it's something you're going to want to stick with right now.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there, Corey. You know what? I appreciate what he's put into the game and everything there, but it's just a little lacking right now. With more updates down the line, then yeah, I would definitely recommend it. But as of right now, I cannot recommend the game. I would say hold off, wait for those updates, but definitely keep your eye on it, because this is something that's pretty cool, and it's only made by one person, so they gotta recommend him for that, man. You know, that's pretty cool. But as of right now, I just hold off.
Impressively built by one person, but the lack of background help can be seen in the basic quest lines and simple graphics. This one's definitely one to monitor as updates roll out slowly, but for now, we can't recommend.
If you're looking for a game to play on your PlayStation VR, then I've got just that game.
Back in the day, buying a Stark weapon meant buying a seat at the high-stakes table.
I'm capturing the moment. As of today, Stark Industries no longer makes or sells weapons of any kind.
Occasionally, our tech wound up in the wrong hands.
Hello, Stark.
Incoming! That's right, I jumped into Iron Man VR over on the PlayStation VR headset. So thanks to Sony and PlayStation for sending us this title for review. If you are looking to jump into the PlayStation VR headset once again, wait no further. Iron Man is clearly one of the best experiences I've played on the PlayStation VR, and at a superhero level like no other.
Keep your guard up, sir.
Iron Man VR gave me that sense and feeling of actually becoming Iron Man. Very seldom do you get a game that makes you feel so empowered and so much joy when you actually put on the suit. And then the ability to customize the suit as well is one of the coolest aspects within this game. Now, if you gotta go into the story is, it starts off strong, but it kind of goes in a little bit of a cheesy ball fashion near the end of the game. Unfortunately, it almost became even somewhat predictable. It is that superhero mentality of a game, and as much as you enjoy playing the game, I had a blast in doing so, but it was the actual story that kind of fell short in the end for me. It wasn't quite what I wanted. You always get with Marvel and their superhero experiences, you get twists and turns, and this is starting to kind of lead into somewhat even a predictable story. But I won't give too much away. It is something that you should experience. Even though I was able to kind of figure out the story for myself, it was playing the game that really had me captivated and wanted to play more, because there's nothing like flying around in Iron Man suits. That is one of the coolest aspects, and a lot of people, when it comes to VR, fear what it's going to be like when you're jumping around in VR. Now you can play as Tony Stark, and there you teleport from one position to the next, but the minute you put on the Iron Man suit, it's a whole other experience, and one you need to play.
We all are the silent majority. We want to meet you, Tony Stark. It's time. Join us outside.
After completing the story, there's also challenges you can go back and complete. There are stuff to kind of keep you going, but it's really, you're there for the story. But these little mini games of flying around and shooting your targets, or using the ground pound and all these other abilities, kind of give you that ability to come back and just stick with the game and the experience of being Iron Man. When you get the banter too of your AI companions, it really takes that whole storytelling aspect to another level. You get the sarcasm from Tony as well, which is such a nice touch. You can tell that Camouflage really paid attention and has the passion and love of Iron Man that they wanted to have and pay homage to that character. So when you do play Iron Man or Tony Stark at the time, then you do feel that, you know what, this dude has money, he has the gadgets, he has all the bells and whistles, and he has all this tech at his disposal, and it's super cool. And the overall arching story of Tony's technology kind of coming back to bite him is something we have seen in the past, but it's told in a different perspective, and I thought it was really well done. Overall, you definitely need to check out Iron Man. It is at a $50 price tag that is Canadian. So if you're kind of on the fence, I definitely would recommend it. It is a lot of fun, and there's no other feeling like Iron Man and being in that suit and flying around and using all of his gadgets at your disposal is one of the top notches for the PlayStation VR. Definitely an experience you have to play.
Know what you need. Got any more, Ghost?
Not in stock.
Maybe you should close up shop for the night.
Sure. I got what I needed.
A well-earned beatdown?
Camouflage have absolutely nailed the experience of becoming Iron Man. It's definitely one of the coolest experiences as you fly around S.H.I.E.L.D.'s helicarrier to then ground pounding on tanks and not getting an ounce of motion sickness. I cannot recommend this game enough, but it does have its shortcomings. Arms tend to kind of flail around. I feel like I'm 3 feet tall when I'm actually 6 feet tall. The fact that it shrinks you down in VR, I just don't understand. But the ability to sit on a stool or stand is a nice feature as well. I actually recommend you playing it sitting down because it actually felt better when playing than standing up. You don't get as tired, and the fact that I actually felt I was at a good height when playing the game. So it really made a big difference sitting down. Can't recommend that one enough. Overall time with Iron Man VR is one of the coolest experiences I've had the pleasures of playing on the PlayStation VR, and that's why I'm there with a 9.
So you got a name, or should I just call you Ghost?
Sir, you better suit.
You actually get a sense of being Iron Man with no motion sickness. If they could only fix flailing arms.
He's passionate. I'll give him that. Nice shot.
I aim to please.
Tony, quit screwing around.
Just building the suspense, Nick.
Iron Man, here to witness my ascent.
So finally, the Canadian Nationals are here yet again, and this time, it's actually quite a bit different. The layout of this season is a lot different from last time. Last time we had multiple teams all kind of competing for a small prize pool, whereas now they've kind of comprised all of North America into one league. But Canada, see, we have 4 teams this time around, and the US, our southern buddies down below, they have 6 teams. But moving back to the Canadian division, with our 4 teams, one of the big dogs, whoever comes out on top, gets to compete in the Pro League Finals against the US and all around the world, all our other Rainbow Six Pro League players. So, starting off, day 1, we had Mirage up against Nordic. Now, we don't have a lot of information on these teams, so I can't really give you much information about them, but there are a few reputable players amongst both these teams, and they did exceptionally well today. Today was very much kind of back and forth, I want to say, but Mirage ultimately took it in the end. The first map was Clubhouse, and Mirage, they really, they came out on top at the beginning. It was a 6-3 match at one point, but then Nordic, they weren't letting them have the first match. They came back swinging with a 7-6 victory. But that didn't really matter because the next 2 maps, both Villa and Cafe, were in Mirage's favor. They just really showed how they're pretty much the superior team. I can't wait to see what we get to see from both these teams moving forward, but firstly, when we get to the next game, we got the Squires up against the North. But enough of that, let's just get to the highlights and get to the juiciness of the Rainbow Six Pro League. I'll catch you next time with Game Day 2.
All right, Corey, here we go again. Another RPG.
We are the wave on the sea. We are the sun that rises over the mountains. We are the mountains drenched in sunlight. Where once we sung in harmony with nature, now we cry out for its destruction.
Corey, you and I jumped over on Steam to check out the Waylanders, the latest RPG adventure that you and I were checking out. What do you think of this one, buddy?
Well, you know what? Like you kind of said in the intro, we're checking out another RPG. We've been checking out a lot of these lately. Not necessarily strictly RPGs, kind of a mix of a few different genres sometimes in some of these games. And this one's kind of the same way. We're getting a kind of a real-time action RPG style game, which I'm definitely into. I was excited to, kind of get into this because first look at it, I really like the kind of the graphics of this one. It brings me back to that World of Warcraft style. I mean, I'm just an old school. That's just where I come from, right? So when I see a game that even resembles it, I start to get a little bit excited. And this one, I thought actually overall this game looked really good. Like we said, it's in early access, so there are some textural things you run into as you kind of go through this. But overall, I think the idea of what they're kind of going for here, I think looks good and suits the type of game that it is.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. I love the art style and direction that they've taken with Waylanders. The minute I saw the trailer, dude, I was hooked. I'm like, we have to check this out. So luckily we were able to get a code and get in here, but you definitely feel that it is in the early access stage. There are some things that do need to be tweaked, like combat, and we'll get into that here shortly. But to start things off, the overall story is really actually decent. It is cool. You go out to meet the gods, and from there things kind of go south, and then that's where things really kind of open up, and your story really starts and begins after all that stuff goes kind of to the wayside. But I don't want to get into too much of the story because that's one of the things you need to experience for yourself. But just know that we had a good time checking out the story. But let's get into combat, Corey, because this is where you and I have been struggling lately with a lot of these RPG elements. When it comes to this game, a lot of people are referring to this title as one of the successors following up with Dragon Age Origins, and it definitely gives you that feel too in all the RPG elements. But the combat itself, there are two options. You can use a mouse and keyboard, or you can actually use a controller. I think the controller might have been a better way to go, but I struggled with a mouse and keyboard because as I'm lining up with my party to battle out, and you kind of watch it unfold as we tend to do in a lot of these games, it sometimes as I'm clicking to target one of my enemies, I'm actually accidentally clicking on my other party members, so then I'm going from one party member into another, and I'm like, oh, I didn't want to do that, and I'm trying to jump back and forth, and sometimes that just throws your whole combat scenario off because you're switching between characters you had no intention of touching in the first place.
Yeah, you know what, I hear you there. Things can get kind of a little busy on screen, especially when you have a full party. And that's a nice thing in this game is the fact that, you know, you have this party element where you build, or I guess you gather companions along the way, but you also do get the opportunity to customize a character right at the beginning of the story. And we've played a couple games recently that allowed some pretty cool customization options, and this game's definitely right in that realm too. There's a lot of different races you can choose from, a lot of different, types of abilities you can choose from, or classes, that you can choose from, which I thought was really cool because it really lets you customize, the type of player you want to be, but your supporting party, as you kind of gather them up, you also get to choose usually between one or two options as what they're going to be or what they specialize in. They may be a warrior, but are they going to be a guardian or more of an attacker? So it's kind of able to customize your characters in that sense. Allows you to, once you get into combat, hopefully be a little more successful. But the problem is if you focus on the person that you created, you don't really get to learn too much about the party you're with. So coming full circle here back to your comment, when you click on these characters by accident, they have a whole different set of abilities than the one you may be used to playing, and then things start to get a little bit of a messy. Let's just put it that way. This game has the ability to pause during combat, which is really nice. It allows you to kind of prioritize where your party's fighting, who's fighting who. So that feature is something that has been lost on games for a long time, and that's kind of why we're saying Dragon Age Origins is kind of in this discussion, because it's very similar in the style of combat. But it's not necessary. You don't have to be always pausing to play combat because you're real time and everything's kind of happening as you go. It's very busy, but at the same time, for me, it was a lot to take in. There's a lot to learn when it comes into this combat. So trying to, stop things and move guys here or just play right through, to me, it did get confusing at times, other than just clicking on the wrong person every once in a while.
No, absolutely. The ability to zoom out and kind of get that top-down view like you normally would with Dragon Age Origins, or you can get right down close to your character, which is so cool. Yeah, I like that they added that extra camera angle that allows you to zoom in and go almost like third-person perspective, right? Super cool. Nice little touch.
Oh yeah, the camera angles in this game, other than actually moving them around sometimes, I thought were done really well, because you get to see the detail of your character, because you get to customize all your party's equipment, their weapons, their abilities as you go along. So every once in a while you want to take a look at how cool your party's starting to look, right? There's a lot of really awesome kind of items in this game to collect along the way, so it does allow you to kind of showcase some of those awesome features.
Well, Corey, we talked about the combat, but one of the highlights of the game itself is the actual story and the way it unfolds and is told through cutscenes, and of course, with any RPG, the dialogue tree itself. There are so many options when we're checking out the game, and who to talk to, what to say, and all those ramifications, but the problem you and I ran into is that there are moments of voiceover, and then there are no voiceover. So as the cutscene unfolds, it's just silent. I'm like, oh, I actually have to read now, where before the person was talking. So, again, that's coming back to that early access stage of things. But it's nice to see that it's going to be implemented, hopefully upon full release, it'll be a lot smoother, but sometimes the characters, their lips aren't even moving at all.
You know what? Yeah, it was, like you said, again, it's early access, so you're kind of expecting some of these things along the way. The nice thing is when the voice acting is actually working and the characters' models are moving their lips, everything actually lines up really well, and I thought it looks really good. But yeah, sometimes you may start a conversation with everybody talking in voiceover, and then halfway through the conversation, depending on how you're picking the dialogue tree, they may just stop altogether. Then you're on to the reading, which, again, it's not that bad, but at the same time, at least they have a good product there, and once it's all finished, it's going to tie together really nicely. But right now, it's hard to look past because every once in a while, they don't, like you said, they don't even move their lips. They're more statuesque than anything else. They're just standing there, and these huge conversations are happening. And I did notice every once in a while, it did even lag behind. The dialogue would be farther behind than the actual action on screen. And there's a couple times where there was quite a bit of action happening in these cutscenes, and I didn't understand what was happening until the dialogue started kicking through. And I was like, oh, okay, like these aren't timed up at all right now. So there's some issues there that need to be, worked out. But I think overall, it's something that's you're willing to look past because it's still very enjoyable and the story is very compelling.
Absolutely.
Blubbering. This is all your fault.
We can yell at the kid later. Save your energy.
Would you all please?
Well, Corey, I think the Waylanders is well on its way to a great game. What are you going to do? Recommend or not recommend the game?
You know what, Drew? I had a good time playing this. I think we were both excited to just jump into this one right away. It's got some early access bumps along the way, but you know what? We were both fully expecting this. I think this is going to be a good game, so I'm definitely here to recommend it.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It is, obviously, as we said, early access, and some of that shows, but then you see a lot of polish in the game as well as you're playing, and the story's starting to unfold, and you're gaining abilities for your character. It's super cool. I had a great time. I got to recommend this one as well.
Nice.
We can do that.
I'll meet you at the beach.
Waylanders has a great story and a vibrant environment. Combat can get confusing at times, and there are some early access hiccups that will need to be tolerated, but overall, this one was a lot of fun, and I think you should be checking it out.
I came up here in the first place to ask if Your Majesty wanted some breakfast.
Not just yet. Allow me a few more moments alone to enjoy the stars on the horizon before the sun washes them away.
Call of Duty upped their game by jumping Warzone to 200 players. Well, did the ITG crew up their game? Find out in this week's Let's Play.
Wow, the
Iron
fact that you
sights
can
from
get
like a kilometer
you get
away.
a 60-round mag with it, and it's just like, yeah, you can just melt a team. And that was the problem, the distance. Like, it's an assault rifle, so it should be pretty good from a range, but like you could literally snipe people with it almost.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Now, we got a good plane line, kind of a crappy circle, but
where are we going?
I don't know where you guys want to go.
Sit at this spot.
All right, I'm down. See you.
Yeah, I bounced.
The spot's pretty good because there's a police station here, and you can get full ammo at the police stations.
Where are you guys? Oh, you're surfing across. I see you. I see you. You can't redeploy your parachute, can you? This isn't.
Yeah,
no...
you can.
Oh, can you?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it is Fortnite.
As many times as you want.
It's Fortnite.
Yeah, you've got a bag of parachutes.
Coming in hot.
Don't worry about those. You got a Costco membership, clearly.
I don't think anybody landed immediately with us, but there's probably guys across the bridge.
Oh, no, no, no.
Oh, no, what? Oh, what? Oh,
I almost died falling down that ladder. That was so close.
Oh.
Did you land at the
watch
hall? Yes, you did. Yeah, you gotta be careful of that ladder, man. I was
Oh,
just
you see those teams fight right now?
It's really close. Oh, there's a truck here. You guys want me to drive to you?
Yeah,
I'm
there's two
shooting
teams.
sniper bullets, silenced bullets at that team over there.
I gotta get some better. Syrian there.
That was fun and all, but
I hear the stinking treasure chest. Where is it? Oh, there it is.
Nice. I got $1,200.
I see.
Okay, Corey's over there. Where's Scott?
Ooh, do I want the Warden or giant pistol? Probably the Warden.
Coming in. I don't want shotgun anymore.
I'm gonna pick up a bounty. Let's see where these guys are. Oh, so they are the guys across the bridge, and I think they may be crossing the bridge. They're all over here.
Oh.
Yeah, they're coming across now, guys. I'm coming back to you guys. I'm gonna get on the roof of the gas station, I think.
Man.
Oh, we got one coming in from the air.
Where's everybody shooting?
Oh, oh, this guy came on the top of the gas station. He climbed the ladder. Oh man, I thought it was one of you guys.
Surprise.
Nope.
Oh no.
Whoa, boys, what's going on?
No, we're dying. That's what's going on. Man, he's right behind me.
It's just us now.
Oh man, I never do well in the gulag.
No.
Never, ever. Drag me in there. I want in there.
There's a couple teams fighting over our bounty right now.
You go in before me, and I can tell you where he's running.
Yeah, okay.
I'll just let you know, like right, left, center, and if he's in the middle of the map, his spawn, we're coming to you.
Okay.
Although, no, I'm going first.
All right, I gotcha. He's top left.
I don't know how to
He's in middle.
Yeah.
He's in mid.
You gotta hold it.
He's going down bottom. Nice shot.
I get so screwed up.
Oh,
my turn.
All right, Nate, I'm on my way back, buddy.
Oh man.
Both of you guys. Is it still there?
Dude, I got a sniper. Like seriously?
Yeah, they put sniper rifles in the gulag for the update.
Man.
Why?
I don't know.
I'm right behind you. I'm down.
Dude, I got him. We gotta clip that. I threw a grenade and it blew up as he went that way. Boys.
I get you.
They're both there. No, I know. I just tried to
Oh, come on, guys. Are you kidding me?
Heroic effort.
And then we just got blown up.
I just had a killer comeback, and you guys are all dead.
Well, they get their gulags.
Yeah.
You're toast.
Time for my slide.
We're in that building.
Double shot. My 360 slide double shot.
I'm out of here. I don't like this place. I want to. Me and a shotgun. Crap.
You need ammo.
Oh, yeah. I need a miracle.
We're in two different gulags.
Oh, dang.
We've been separated.
This place has been.
Yeah, Scott landed here.
Oh, here it goes.
There's probably still some stuff. Or Nate landed here, sorry.
There's nothing.
I'll go upstairs to turn around. There's a bunch of stuff in there.
Nope.
Through that door.
Oh, that was bad. I died.
Oh, another handgun?
Literally failed.
Oh, what do we got up here?
Could be on the roof.
It's not good.
Door there to your left. And then a ladder.
Oh, that was blocked.
Drew makes it back.
Right through there.
Yeah, way to go, guys.
Sorry,
That's all good.
And then maybe on the corner on the roof. Yeah. There.
Oh man, I'm loaded now.
Think about it, man. You only need like $13,500 and you get this all back.
Is that all I need? I got it. I got you. Ah, get out of here.
Oh. Oh.
Let him have it, Drew.
You bet.
You got any grenades?
No, I thought I did.
Oh, rip.
How is he still alive? Come on, guys. Really?
Yeah. There's a ladder on the opposite side of the building. You can climb up right there. Yeah. Go get his stuff. That was a team wipe.
Yeah. Well played.
Nice. And there's a chest up there. Thanks for your stuff, bud. back to the lobby.
And then he drops in on your head. Like, oh no!
With a pistol, yeah.
Okay. I've got $1,600. Man,
Yeah,
oh,
you're
man.
you're shy.
I'm a little shy.
A while to go.
Really?
Let's see where you can go. Yeah, you're a bit. There's a bunch of you head across the river if you want to get to the next set of buildings.
I guess so.
There's a buy station there. Actually, you know what you need to do, Drew?
What's that?
Go pick that up.
Okay.
So what that does is it'll set a 3-minute timer, and when that timer runs out, you'll get all of us back.
Okay.
Is that what it does? It brings us.
So I gotta get it
us?
though.
Yeah, you have to pick it up.
We gotta
And
pick
then
it up.
it shows everybody on the map where you are.
Oh, why
For
though?
3 minutes. It's called Most Wanted, but then we'll all get money and you'll get us back. So it's up to you.
No, I'm in. Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
There you go.
Got it.
Most wanted right now.
So 3 minutes starts now. You'll get $2,600 and we'll all come back.
Just think about it like
I wouldn't stand out in the open though.
No, I know. I'm trying to. Yeah.
Now you'll be a little red crown on the map. But to be fair, let's see. There is another king also on the map already, so you might get lucky.
I mean, there's only 116 people, including you, playing.
Oh. Okay. So they can see exactly. Oh, here we go.
Oh yeah, you pick up the plates. Yeah,
It's only 39 teams.
No, you can't pick that one up while you're doing this one.
Oh man, it feels like the longest 3 minutes of my life.
Oh, just wait. It breezes by, and then the last 20 seconds is when you hear the footsteps every time. You're hiding, and then the last 10 seconds you hear, and then the grenades will start coming in, and the C4s will start flying.
Oh, guy to the right, behind you, like directly behind you on the radar. Oh, he's coming in.
Oh,
you got it, bro.
Finish him off.
Oh man, there's so many people there.
You killed him. Yeah.
That's the best part. Yeah, you got the thirst on him. Nice.
Oh, that was cheese.
Look at that, man. 3 kills.
Man.
Are you sure you're not?
Well, that'll wrap up this week's show. I told you we were kicking it old school and jumping into some Iron Man. That's one heck of a game flying around in VR. That was awesome. Now, you can always be a part of the show just like Zane did as he hit us up at InsideTheGame.ca as he's kicking it off with some Call of Duty and knocking some heads. Check this out. And of course, we'll see you next week inside the game.